Are you a parent feeling overwhelmed by your child's constant tantrums, meltdowns, and emotional outbursts? Do you find yourself walking on eggshells, never knowing what might trigger the next explosion? Well, parents, you're definitely not alone. In fact, according to Johns Hopkins, 1 in 5 children have a diagnosis where they struggle mentally, emotionally, or behaviorally. And that's a pretty significant number, and it doesn't even account for the many families struggling without a formal diagnosis. But here's the thing. What if I told you that these challenging behaviors often stem from an imbalance in your child's nervous system? What if there was a way to address these issues without relying on medication? Today, we're going to explore a groundbreaking approach that could truly transform your family's life. This video is for parents who are exhausted from dealing with their child's frequent tantrums, meltdowns, and emotional outbursts, and are seeking drug-free solutions to help their child. We're diving into the neuroscience behind behavior issues and how neurologically focused chiropractic care can help restore balance to your child's nervous system. You'll learn about the root causes of these behaviors and discover a drug-free approach to help your child regulate their emotions and behavior more effectively. Maybe you can relate to Jake's story. His mom explains that when Jake was just 2.5 years old, he went from a smiling, sweet little boy to acting out, experiencing tantrums, crying spells, and explosive, angry reactions. When triggered, his anger would escalate quickly. He would yell, stomp, call himself stupid, and at times even hit himself. After several years, it had directly impacted his self-esteem. With every reaction, angry outbursts, and tense moment, the family grew more and more desperate. They began to feel a weight of heaviness in the home. Jake's family had numerous conversations with their pediatrician, weekly sessions with a child therapist, meetings with school teachers, social workers, and 504 meetings, and they longed for peace for Jake. And after an extremely explosive event at a martial arts competition, they knew he needed a completely different approach to help him. They had heard about PX Docs from a friend, so they decided to take a chance and get him started right away. With consistency and time that helped rewire and re-regulate Jake's nervous system, they began to see big changes in him. Mom told our PX docs that after about 3 or 4 months, they began to notice that Jake appeared calmer. They noticed him begin to use his words and to express how he felt. He was less anxious, less combative, and less intense. He began to smile more and started to playfully joke around with his family. Jake still has his moments of frustration, but he has learned to recognize when he is heightened and apply the strategies that he has learned in therapy to calm down because now his nervous system is now communicating better with the rest of his body. He is happier, he smiles a lot, jokes around, and is playful. He articulates his needs and advocates for himself through words and not reactions. And the biggest accomplishment to date has been his comeback in competitive karate. Last July, Jake competed in the AAU National Karate Tournament, and he took home 2 gold medals in his age division, a national champion in 2 events. So let's switch gears here and talk about traditional approaches, root causes, and how the nervous system plays a role in all of this. Traditional approaches will use behavior modification. These approaches often focus on managing symptoms or altering behavior through rewards and punishments. Behavior specialists speak about learned behaviors or skill deficits, and they work hard to alter the external environment to support the child and then teach them new skills. And these approaches can be effective and can help parents get the help that they're looking for their kids. But what about when the environment is full of modifications and all sorts of both parenting and professional help fails to get results? Let me introduce you to the PX Docs approach, looking deeper to address the internal root cause instead of modifying the environment. As PX Docs at Rising Health, we take this different approach. We look deeper to find the root cause of why a child is reacting like this. When we see kids with constant tantrums, meltdowns, and emotional outbursts, there's several factors that tend to show up within that child's history and day-to-day life experience. The first factor has to do with sensory overload and nervous system dysregulation. Sensory overload occurs when the brain is overwhelmed by excessive sensory stimulation, leading to a state of constant noise and confusion. This disrupts the normal regulation of the nervous system, particularly affecting the balance between the sympathetic fight or flight side of the nervous system and the parasympathetic rest and digest response. If the brain is being overwhelmed by input, sensory overwhelm, it's going to favor that fight or flight side of the nervous system. A nervous system that favors that fight or flight response is a dysregulated nervous system. The ability to access that neurology is important and part of a normal functioning system. However, when we get stuck on that fight or flight side of the nervous system, that's when challenges start to brew and show up, because the longer the system stays stuck, the less we're operating in a calm, relaxing, healing, rest and digest state. A second factor we recognize is the role of something called subluxation and how it interferes with nervous system function. Subluxation refers to misalignments or dysfunctions in the spine that can interfere with the nervous system's ability to process sensory information effectively. Subluxation is the body's adaptive response to stress. And if that stress gets stuck within the system, it gets subluxated. This interference can exacerbate nervous system dysregulation, which then contributes to heightened sensory sensitivities and overload, like we just talked about. To put it in a simpler way, stress affects the body adapts in a way that continues to stress the body out. That's the subluxation, which keeps the body in protection mode, which then leads to the challenges we've been talking about. All of this is important to understand because when the nervous system is dysregulated due to sensory overload and subluxation, it can lead to those significant behavior issues. Children may exhibit increased anxiety, irritability, difficulty concentrating, and emotional meltdowns as their brain struggles to cope with that sensory chaos. And this is where each factor begins to affect the other. The connection between these elements is cyclical. Sensory overload can lead to nervous system dysregulation, which is often exacerbated by those subluxations. And this compounded effect can manifest as behavioral issues, creating a cycle that perpetuates the child's sensory and behavioral challenges. So now that we can begin to understand the mechanisms behind these challenges, we can work towards addressing the root cause. Root cause focused and drug-free interventions, such as neurologically focused pediatric chiropractic care, aim to address subluxations and restore nervous system balance. Behavioral challenges tend to resolve as a byproduct of addressing these deeper causes. By addressing the root causes, this form of care can help reduce that sensory overload, improve nervous system regulation, and alleviate associated behavioral issues, leading to a better overall functioning for the child. Parents, I want you to know that there's hope. That's why we do this, to provide hope, answers, and help. Your child's challenging behaviors are not simply a reflection of your parenting, nor are they something your child can simply grow out of. They're often a sign that your child's nervous system needs support. Imagine a future where your child can navigate their emotions more easily, where tantrums and meltdowns become less frequent, and where your whole family feels more balanced and connected. And just like Jake's story, this future can be possible with neurologically focused pediatric chiropractic care. So if you want to learn more, click the link in our bio and check out a full podcast episode on how to overcome constant meltdowns, tantrums, and emotional outbursts in that link. That's all for this video. Thanks for watching. Have a wonderful day.